listening to She Speaks Talk Radio, where women's words are changing the world.
Welcome to the Mind Your Business show with me, your host, Tierra Womack, where we talk about finding balance between your life and your soul-led business, sharing the secrets of successful female entrepreneurs who are building wealth from the inside, combining mindset and business strategies to create success on their terms. Hey, MYB family, welcome back for another episode of the show. So, speaking of creating success on your terms, today's guest is all about helping you find love on your terms. Dr. Holley helps conscious single men and women find the love of their dreams. With a doctorate in clinical psychology, she founded Find Love at Last in 2014 to empower you to find the love you've been dreaming of, and has been a matchmaker, a coach, and image consultant for over 9 years. Dr. Holley is a dating expert and inspiring speaker who empowers and advises on dating strategy, because we love strategy, online dating, mindset, image, partner suitability, communication, and commitment. She brings more than 15 years of rich personal dating experience before finding the wonderful man with whom she is happily married. She's based in San Francisco, California, and works with clients around the world. Welcome to the show, Holley.
Thank you so much for having me, Tierra. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to be here.
I am so excited. I have been looking forward to speaking with you on this topic of love, because anyone and everyone in my world knows that I'm single, because I feel like the more people that know, the higher the chance of like that divine blind date
Yes,
setup. You know what I
yes,
mean? But
yes, that's so smart.
ultimately,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was just going to say that's so smart. And yet a lot of people, single people, tend to kind of keep it hidden often and don't want people to know, as if there's something wrong with being single. But, often being single, you're closer to finding your ideal partner than you could be if you're in relationships. So nothing
Exactly.
to hide.
Yeah, I feel like it's the 6 degrees of separation. You never know who knows someone. And I truly feel like I'm going to be set up on a blind date with my husband. So that's just me. But ultimately, even with the dating and, possible blind dating, I do want to move from single to soulmate. So I want to hear all about your journey to find love at last and found love at last. And I'm sure you hear this all the time, but like how you became a matchmaker.
Yes, definitely. Happy to share the journey. Whew, it felt like a long journey. Yeah. Um, I'll give you the brief version,
Yeah.
but it took me a really long time to manifest my soulmate, and I was in school for most of my life, and yeah, I mean, I was in school until I was like 30, and getting all my degrees and all of that. And I had some really wonderful men in my life, and I had some not so wonderful men in my life, like most of us, right? Who gathered experience and all. And after the last of the latter, I just really drew a line in the sand because, I was raised in a dysfunctional home, had an abusive father. And so partner choice was always really important to me. Like finding love was the most important thing that I wanted in this lifetime to experience. And so much so, I even did my dissertation on adult children of divorce and their intimate relationships. I've had a long-standing interest in this topic.
Wow.
And, after I got out of graduate school, it was like I was serial monogamous. So I was in relationships for years. And after my second long relationship, I finally had the opportunity to date. Actually, it turned out it was after the third. I said it was going to be after the second, and I met the next one. Anyways, after the third. And I finally decided to embrace being single for the first time in my life. And like Sex and the City was happening at that time. And so it was like kind of this new idea that you don't have to just detest being single, but you can actually embrace it and enjoy it, and like embrace the adventure.
Yes,
So that's
happily
what I
single.
did. Yes, happily
Hmm.
single. So that's what I did, and had I not done that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. But taking you on the meandering path here. But
I love it.
anyway, yeah, I drew a line in the sand after the last not great relationship, and I asked myself the hard questions. Spent 8 months of me time, which was difficult for a woman who wasn't comfortable being alone, honestly.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so I did a lot of my inner work. I had done a lot of inner work already, but I did even more of it because I wanted to manifest something greater than I'd ever manifested before.
Oh, I
And
love that.
so, yeah. So I spent those 8 months and found a way to get comfortable being alone. And I actually ended up writing a poem about my last relationship. It was really cathartic. And I spent 2 months. I don't consider myself a real poet, but
Mhm.
for whatever reason, I felt compelled to do it. And it was very cathartic. And I spent 2 months kind of painstakingly choosing each word. And it was really like part of my healing.
Yes.
And so when I finally finished it, October that year, um, I decided, and this was also very outside of my comfort zone, I felt compelled to share it at a spoken word event. Never done that
Wow.
before,
Mhm.
but I wanted to share it with other passionate souls.
Mhm.
And so I reached out to a friend of mine who was creative as well. And I didn't want to do it alone. That was the thing. And so I called him and he said he'd join. And so we met up there. And the funny thing is, I never performed my poem publicly.
Mhm.
They had a long line that night of people who wanted to share, but um, but I had a great time with my friend,
Yes.
and he happened to be the man that I always reached out to every couple of years or so when I had an extra concert ticket, and who wants to go to a concert alone? Not
Mhm.
me, at least
Right.
at that time.
Right.
But we'd always say yes, and so we'd see each other every couple of years from there. So what ended up happening was they announced at the end, "Hey, we do this every month." And I looked at him like, "Oh my gosh, we should do this every month." And so we did. And he started asking me the things in between. And that started the biggest surprise in my life, because that man became my husband.
Oh my God. Like if we had a round of applause, I wish I had that button right now because what a cliffhanger. I know you all listening and can't see me, but Holly probably can see. I am like 2 inches away from the screen as she's been talking. Like my generator energy, my sacral has just been like going closer and just drawing and magnetizing and hanging on to every word that you've said, because especially when you talk about growing up in an emotionally, mentally, physically, any type of abusive environment. And for me growing up, especially within the Black community, it was like toxic love was just love. There was no, I didn't know anything about healthy, unhealthy love. It's just love was love. People fight and then they are dancing together in the living room an hour later. And so for me, it was so important being in 2 long-term relationships with narcissists. I just got to the point where I couldn't compromise my values any longer, or, like for lifestyle,
Yeah,
right? For that 2-parent home. And I just realized I wanted to show my sons what real love looked like, that was healthy love. And I'm so with you on just the importance of this dynamic, and literally walking away from a 7-figure business, 7-figure life, so like all of the things from the outside to show my sons like, hey, I will walk away from it all so that we are enveloped in a healthy love in our home. And you see that exemplified in the male figure, that you essentially are going to learn from and take into your own relationships. So
yeah.
wow,
So
just like,
important.
yeah.
It's
and
so
and like you
important to
said,
do, right? Not only for ourselves, to take that stand for ourselves, but
yes.
especially for the next generation,
Mhm.
because we first learn by example, right? Whatever type of love is modeled to us, we tend to replicate either, the paternal or maternal figure. We either decide we don't want to be like that, or we do want to be like that when we grow up and do love. And so we have to be really mindful about how we do that. And so I want to really acknowledge you and commend you for, that couldn't have been easy to walk away from for multiple reasons, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I commend and acknowledge you too, because it was like manifesting something you hadn't experienced, this
Mm,
mind-blowing, amazing love. And I feel the same way. Although I hadn't seen that or experienced it, I am still holding strong for that. And so you're such a testament with your journey of love that is just so heartwarming. And essentially you cracked the code, right? And now I guess that took you towards this journey with finding love at last as a business,
yeah.
where you are able to help other single men and women expedite their path to love. So talk to us a little bit about, okay, it's one thing to find the love of your life, and how did you say, oh, you know what, I'm going to actually start a business? Because that could be a little scary.
Yes. Yes, it kind of was. I mean, I was a psychologist for a while working with trauma victims, and then I needed a break, got a bit burnout, went into executive search where I was pairing top talent with corporations and startups. And then I got laid off. And, that career was lucrative, but not terribly meaningful for me. And so I was secretly longing for meaning, meaningful work. Having gone to the end of the line educationally and spending all that time and money to become a psychologist, I wanted to really use it, and especially to help people. And so for my core value to find love in my life, and for me to be blessed enough to find the amazing love that I always wanted to have, and at times really wondered if it was elusive or not, to finally have that after so many years. What I most wanted to do after cracking the code for myself was to share it with other people, because it took me a really long time to find it. And it shouldn't have to take that long, even though it often can. And so once I cracked the code and figured out the steps, it's my greatest joy to share it with others, to expedite everyone else's path and to really mitigate that pain and suffering, because there is a proven path. And most people don't know that. They think it's the same path as just dating and the apps, and, but when you're dating with purpose and you want to really manifest your soulmate, there is a proven path to that. And I wish I had known about it, but anyway, maybe that was part of my journey. So now I get to share it with others, and they have the same success. And, it feels like magic to my clients, but it's actually a proven path that feels like magic to them. And it's such a beautiful thing to see their success. And, I'm about to, that podcast episode that I'm releasing very soon is about success stories and about the common denominators between my success stories. And it might surprise you, as it did me, that one of the common denominators is actually people being skeptical. And we talk about mindset and how important that is, but you can still be somewhat skeptical and find love. So
I love that. And I feel like that ties back into that proven path. Is like, even if you're skeptical, it's just believing slightly and allowing for you to guide, being coachable is what we say in our industry. And bringing in, my next question for you is like, do you find yourself in this journey of empowering conscious men and women to manifest their ideal dream, like, again, mind-blowing partner, and create this amazing relationship? Do you find yourself bringing in a lot of the image consulting and the clinical psychology that is a part of you and your background, so it's deeper than just coaching that your clients experience with you?
it is. it's very comprehensive, so the masterclass is how I create the transformation for clients. That's one of the ways. So yeah, I mean, it's all about healing your past, becoming your best version, which is when the image consulting comes in, because we need you to be at the intersection of authentic and effective, right? I mean, if we're being 100% authentic, we probably wouldn't do our hair and wear nice clothes and
Wear sweatpants. Yeah.
right. Yeah, we'd roll out of bed and be like, hey, want to date me? But it's like most of us, kind of want to present, with our best foot forward, especially if we're trying to attract our ideal partner too, right? So in order for us to manifest the one, we have to first become the one. And so that's often part of becoming the one, so that we feel confident enough to attract a high caliber partner.
Do you so with the image consulting, for instance, do you actually do like a closet audit? Like, do you like look at like for your one-to-one clients?
That's a great question. I usually outsource that piece now to an image consultant that I just love. She's wonderful. And so she does those things with me.
Okay. Because I'm like, that's really exciting to have somebody in your pocket that's like, yep, wear that. Nope, don't wear that. And
in your dating wardrobe, like, ready to go. Yeah.
Elevating it. I love that. So my next question is, why is this concept of dating and finding love so hard? Like, I know you talked a little bit about the skepticism, but like, why is there that?
Yeah. That's a great question. And there's a lot of answers to that. I think one of the things that we're facing right now is that, back in the day when our parents were getting together, we often met through friends or family members or at church, like in the community, at school. And we're living longer now, right? We're much more, we have many more years on the planet. But we also have dating apps, right? And so we have more access to more people than we ever have before in our lifetimes. And so often with greater choice, we get overwhelmed with the possibilities and we become uncertain. And if we don't know what we're looking for, it becomes really, really overwhelming. And a lot of people who come to me, they don't know who their ideal partner is, at least to the granular degree that you need to be in order to manifest at that higher level. And for me, it's simple, right? I have my VIP matchmaking worksheets, which are part of my masterclass, but also part of this workshop, Finding Your Mr. Right, which I'm doing in the end of August. And so I'm throwing my VIP matchmaking worksheets in there, because once you do those 7 worksheets, like, it's really, really clear about who you should be dating versus who you shouldn't. It's in black and white. It's not only demographics, but it's psychographics, it's values, it's personality attributes, it's activities, like we go through the gamut. And so you basically have like a match profile, your ideal partner profile, essentially, by the end of it, so that I should not be wasting time with this person, but this one I should spend more time with.
Yeah, and you yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like you just said, half the battle, and it's like second guessing yourself or thinking that you have the clarity, and then someone comes along and you're like, oh, but it's like, no, like you said, you don't even have to waste your time. Like, I am so clear. Well, I'm sure that I will get clearer in your workshops. We'll talk about that in a second, but I feel like I'm pretty clear in regards to the things I don't want. And so now the blessing in having those 2 long-term narcissistic abusive relationships is like, I can quickly spot those red flags. And it's like, there's no amount of anything that will make me overlook at this point, as I did in the past. So I think that's, I love the clarity that you bring your clients.
Yeah. Well, and often, I know just like in business, it's like, if I'm feeling unclear about the next direction to take or the next offering, not being clear is not a great feeling to have, you know? Or if we're just dating whoever shows up or expresses interest next, it's like we don't feel like we're getting closer to our goals.
Yeah.
Having that clarity is just, I know I always feel really at peace once I have clarity. It's like, all right, this is the direction I'm going. This is what's happening next. It's like, yes. And then we put the energy behind it and execute. You know? And dating in our love lives starts there too, just like most goals and things that we want to manifest.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Clarity is queen.
Yeah.
So, what are the biggest mistakes then that you're seeing since we have such more access and so much more complexities within the dating world? Like, what would you say are the biggest mistakes that you're seeing from daters
Yeah.
making? So I can write some of these down to make sure.
Definitely. Well, lack of clarity is a huge one. You know, nobody comes to me and says, oh, I need to work on my mindset. But mindset is one of the biggest things people need to work on. Yeah. That's part of the masterclass too, because we can do everything else right, just like most things in life. But if our mindset isn't aligned to what we're wanting to manifest, then it's going to sabotage our efforts. You know?
Yeah.
So if we believe that there aren't any good men left out there, then guess what we're going to manifest? That exact thing that we believe, right? So
yes.
The mindset's super important. One of the other things is people aren't taking time to get to know each other. They're deciding, you know, within seconds if they want a second date. And if they're not feeling that immediate chemistry, then they don't want a second date. And I don't think that that is wise. I actually knew my amazing husband since college, if you can believe it. We knew each other all those years. We were in other relationships. We were never single at the same time. And I had no idea he was my soulmate. No idea. I thought he was handsome and, you know, he was a really great friend. We weren't like close friends, but you'd be surprised how many married women marry men that they never would have anticipated. And yet they're happier than they've ever been. So that just goes to show you that, like, you know, I often use this analogy, but it's like if we're trying to get a plane from San Francisco to New York and we're 20 degrees off, we're going to land in who knows where,
Jersey,
North Carolina or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? We never get to our destination. So, so that clarity is really key.
I love all of that. And I have chills just like with the excitement about potentially already having your soulmate in your sphere. And so I love that. And I also love this saying that you have of love doesn't favor the lucky, it favors the prepared. So please explain this a bit more.
Yes. Well, you know, we always hear like, oh, she's lucky in love, or he's not lucky in love, you know, like it's just kind of a thing. And I think Hollywood and rom-coms kind of play that up, you know.
Yes.
But it's like everything in life, you know. Dating is learned. It's not luck. And so it can feel like that if we're not having success in that area. But it too is learned, just like everything else on the planet. And so, you know, how to date more effectively can be learned. How to use your past to bring it and let it inform your future can be learned. How to show up and create the ideal trajectory for a relationship can be learned. How to teach a man how to treat you can be learned. How to get the commitment you want from the right man can be learned. All of it can be learned. How to qualify men, your relationship rights, like all of it, do's and don'ts of dating, like it can all be learned. And I think that is so wonderful because it really democratizes dating. Because if everybody can learn, we all need to learn slightly different things. But so the importance of preparation, like if we want to experience a love greater than we have before, we need to prepare for that in a different way. And oftentimes people will say to me, oh gosh, you know, I've been waiting for Mr. Right, or, you know, fill in the blank. I don't want to wait 90 more days like the
Mhm.
master class, right? To like wait to look for him. And it sounds like it's a detour, or it sounds like, oh, you're going to push out, for 3 months finding the love of your dreams. But truly, the masterclass helps you show up in a completely different way, where you're still authentic, but you're feeling empowered, which most people aren't feeling when they're dating these days.
Mhm.
And so, at first glance, it can seem like, oh, you know, 90 days. But
Mhm.
when you think about the totality of your life, 90
It's a
days is
blip.
nothing, right?
Nope.
And
Not
if
for
you can,
love.
right? And if you
Mhm.
can learn to show up in a really authentic, effective, empowered way, you're going to just magnetize at that high vibration, high energy caliber level.
Mm.
And it's going to change your life.
Ah, more chills, more chills, more chills. I love all of this. I love it because it brings in like the energetics of it all with the strategy. And that is like right, that is my jam. That is like right where I like to be when it
Yeah.
comes to, how I coach and working with women, bringing in the human design and whatnot into their business. But it's also this strategy. And so I just completely love how you have created this foundation with those two aspects in your business. And so, with this being the Mind Your Business show, we focus not just on our businesses, but also mindset. So, what would you say is the number one mindset block you see your clients facing newly dating, and how do you help them shift that? Like, what would you say is the number one mindset block?
Gosh. Um, I think there are limiting beliefs around who is availability. Even though we have quantity of available matches, we often think that the quality isn't there. And I know lots of wonderful men and women who are single, like lots. And there's some really wonderful people out there.
Mhm.
And so just keeping your mind open to what is possible. And, you know, the love of your dreams, it's your dream, right? And it's in your heart. And it wouldn't be in your heart if it didn't exist.
Yes. Oh,
So
love
trusting
that.
that it's
Mhm.
in your heart, just like everything else that's in your heart, like your professional passion or your, whatever
Mhm.
whatever you're
Whatever
wanting
lights
to
you up.
manifest, yeah, whatever lights
Mhm.
you up, that's all in your heart. And so trust that the universe wouldn't give you that desire without fulfilling it.
Mhm. Ah, chills again. Like yes, yes to all of that. And I would say, for all my mompreneurs that are listening, yes, you can find a soulmate, that amazing, magnificent love with those babies. Because I know, just talking with my friends and even myself, like newly dating, it can be a thing to think about. Luckily, I feel like my sons are amazing, and I'm probably a little biased, but they really are. So it's like, maybe that fear of bringing someone new around your children and like, those types of things. But I don't know. I just feel like, the man will love and find it attractive that I'm a great mom and that, my sons are so well behaved and things of that nature, and great kids as a reflection of the parenting. And so that's kind of like something that I had to shift into, and that I always speak to my friends about, who are moms who are,
Yeah.
newly single. So,
You are reminding me of this story that it was probably 6 months ago. My husband and I were out, I think it was Valentine's Day, and we're out at this little hotel close to us. And there was this beautiful couple sitting across the table from us. And I think my husband went to the restroom, and I don't know, I had to know their story. Like they just
mhm.
so happy. And,
Ah,
you know, I'm a dating coach. So of course I wanted
yes.
to know. Well, anyway, I struck up a conversation with this woman. She is a woman who had 6 children,
Mhm.
6 children, beautiful. I mean, she was, I don't know how old she was. no more than 40, I don't think.
Mhm.
6 kids,
Wow.
working on her doctorate,
Mhm.
lived in another state, and a man from the San Francisco area. Um, they were there that night. They had just recently gotten engaged.
Oh.
He had, I think, 2 kids. So they were going to have 8 kids together. She lives out of state. She's working on a doctorate with 6 children, and he had recently proposed. I
Yes.
thought, what a beautiful, beautiful story.
See, love is love. So again, all my mamas, my mompreneurs listening, like there's love for us out there. So, I'm loving this conversation. Okay, so moving a bit more into the mindset portion of minding your business, I like to ask my guests a few questions, and the listeners, they always love this portion of the rapid fire. So it's just quick answers, quick responses. So, as someone who actually helps clients shift their mindset around dating, dating around themselves, like as you talked about those limiting beliefs, what is the one limiting belief that you have been surprised to experience at this level of success? And what's one technique that you do as maybe part of your daily routine or just to shift out of any limiting beliefs?
Mhm. Yeah, great question. I'm not impervious to imposter syndrome too. Um, that can come up, especially as we're trying to manifest to another level.
Yes.
So yeah, like I was definitely afraid of public speaking before, and now I do podcasts, guest podcasts, do my own, yeah. So I think it's just kind of part of evolving and
Yeah.
growing. But
With
yeah, still
the
there's.
imposter syndrome. That is probably the number one I see with successful female entrepreneurs. And so what's one like your go-to when the imposter syndrome tries to rear its ugly head? Like what's one thing
Yeah.
of, however many that you do with that?
Um, Good question. I have a lot of practices that I do. Um, so
What's your one go-to for imposter syndrome?
um, I find that yoga is really grounding.
Mm-hmm,
So I try to do that somewhat regularly.
mm-hmm. The
That and
yoga.
holding on to inspiring quotes and powerful messages.
I love I love that. So that's actually a part of one of the other questions. So, who's inspiring you right now?
Oh gosh, right now. Um, I love Esther Perel. I love her podcast.
Mhm,
Where Shall We Begin? Um, I've always been a huge Oprah fan, huge,
mhm,
huge. I wouldn't probably be doing this work or have had the courage to do this without her. I used to watch
mhm.
every day. She's my primary news source, as my mom would joke with me. I love Glennon Doyle and her
Mhm.
podcast. And Liz Gilbert, I've always loved too.
I love it, love it, love it. And so, lastly, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Go after your dreams,
Yes.
have the
Yep.
courage, dare to dream.
Dare to dream. Ooh, the brave way. I love it. So, we talked a little bit about your Finding Your Mr. Right workshop, which I will be attending. So, if you can tell us just a little bit more about that. I know you said it's happening the end of this month, I think August 28th, if I'm not mistaken. But if you can tell us about that, about your masterclass, and about your amazing dating club.
Yes, thank you. So I'm doing a workshop on Saturday, August 27th, and it's from 12 to 1 Pacific time. So in 3 hours, by the end of that workshop, you will be crystal clear on who your ideal partner is. I'm throwing in my VIP matchmaking worksheets, which will expedite that process. I will be giving feedback on your defined ideal partner, because sometimes the parameters are too wide and sometimes the parameters are too narrow. And I
Mhm.
don't want that to be the case for you. Um, so I'll make recommendations there. And yes, so that's happening. And let's see, maybe in the show notes we could put a link there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I will make sure that if you look underneath this episode, you will find all of the information for the workshop as well. Yep.
Okay, wonderful. And then my master class, as I touched on before, is a 90-day program where it takes you from single to soulmate. It really helps you become the one so that you can attract the one. It's a comprehensive program. It's my signature program. It's inspiring, but it's also very practical. And I take you through the proven steps, all the steps that I went through, everything I wished I would have known 10 years ago before manifesting my amazing husband. And I walk you through those very steps. It is a group program, and there's a wonderful community of warm women, really supportive. And so you can learn more about that at myloveatlast.com. And then I also have Dating Club. And Dating Club is where I support you and inspire you along your journey to love. Because in finding love, there are a million rabbit holes that we can fall down. And we often don't know when we're falling down them. And so that's my way to continue to support you until you find the love of your dreams. And that's also a group setting, and we have Zoom calls twice a month and a private Facebook group that goes with that. You can learn more about that at myloveatlast.com/dating-club.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
again, I will make sure that all of those links are in the notes for the show. And so what's the best way for the MYB family to get in contact with you and stay in touch?
Yes, you can go to my website, which is findloveatlast.com, which is different than the other two sites I gave you before. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. I have a Facebook group called Conscious Singles, From Single to Soulmate, where I inspire and support you along your journey too. Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Dr. Holley Battey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And she also has this amazing new podcast, Find Love at Last. So make sure you check out some of those episodes as well.
Yes, and that's on Spotify. So.
Amazing. Well, for those of you listening in today, your takeaway is to ask yourself, where are you able to bring more love into your life? Whether that's self-love, new love, or nurturing an existing love, like just ask yourself that. I, as always, love to read your responses and receive your responses. So if you want to send those my way, please DM them at The Brave Way on Instagram. You can also email hi@thebravewaytribe.com. So please keep sending those to me. I love to get those answers for your takeaways. Thank you, Holley, so much. Thank you to everyone that has tuned in today. If you've enjoyed the show, please, please, please share it with a friend or three so we can spread the value and spread the love. And if you are looking for support in shifting your money mindset, learning your human design to become more fulfilled and aligned in your business, removing those money blocks, or need to find more free time in your calendar, please feel free to reach out to me again via DM on Instagram at The Brave Way, or via email hi@thebravewaytribe.com. Keep your head in the game. Remember that you deserve alignment, success, time, freedom, balance, and love in your life and business. And ask yourself, how am I minding my business today? Thank you so much again, Holley. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me, Tierra. This is wonderful.
Yes. All right. Well, again, MYB family, be well, be wealthy, and I will talk to you soon.